Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their day. Well, today we've got a very exciting unboxing because I've got a doozy of a package to break open into, and this is from actually my favorite supplier in the world. I've done videos on unboxing videos on this seller before, and I've just got to say it's my favorite, absolutely favorite supplier, and the reason for that is for a number of reasons, and I can talk about that while I'm trying to crack open into this package. The reason for why I love this particular sender of this package and this particular I would call him a business partner of mine that I've been working very close with is because they really take the time out of their day to really think about what it is that I'm trying to do here. You know, very few people in this world give a crap about what I'm doing or want to be of any sort of assistance to me, and I can understand that. We're all busy, we all have our own lives, we all have our own things that we want to be doing, but for me, there's a thing that I'm doing here, and it's not just willy-nilly buying a bunch of random silver here in a silo. I have a plan, there's a method behind the madness, and it's really, really nice for me when there's other individuals who have a like mind, you know, like-minded individuals in the community. That's what life is all about. And it may seem like I'm just trying to waste time or go on a random rant, but there's a reason why I'm saying all this. This person right here is a like-minded individual in the sense that they know what I am all about. They know that I like the vintage silver. They know the refiners that I'm interested in specializing in, and they themselves have a mutual interest in some of those pieces as well as a seller themselves, right? They're a seller, I'm a seller, we're both buyers, right? And so this seller is selling to me, and we have like minds. And what is helpful when you have like minds is that you can find some middle ground. You can find a place where both people can win, both people can be happy, and that is not usually the case. I feel that, especially when it comes down to vintage, it feels like almost a battle trying to obtain some of this stuff. I know many of you may not know what I'm talking about because many of you just want to buy whatever's cheapest and don't really care about the collectability of something. If you can get the collectability for a cheap price, great. But you're not necessarily running out there and paying, you know, $100 plus an ounce for a particular item just because you want it bad, right? So in a nutshell, when it comes down to purchasing highly collectible vintage or even just somewhat collectible vintage, something that is desired by others and demands an extra premium over that melt value, when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's almost kind of like a standoff between you and the seller. Who are you gonna rip off this time, right? A lot of times these old school LCSs, they'll operate in a way, and this is totally based off of the way that they're receiving their stock. They're receiving their stock from the community, which could be anything random, and so they have to specialize in everything, in the sense that they have to operate just on that spot price, because whatever comes in, they buy it at slightly below spot, they'll or whatever margin they need to in order to be able to turn a profit and turn it a profit quickly, because you got to keep the lights on and such. And so when it comes down to it, most local coin shops don't have a very, very strict specialization. Unless there's a lot of money behind that operation or they have some sort of a niche, most of these coin shops will in fact just be specializing in everything. So for them, silver is just silver, gold is just gold. They look at the melt value and then make their assessment quickly, and they move on to the next deal, right? Other retailers, very few, but there's some retailers out there. One that comes to mind is Mineral Exchange. Mineral Exchange is an auction site that kind of specializes in super high-end premium vintage silver, very similar to what we do as well, but I would say they are kind of at another level of craziness as far as high premium. We don't quite go with that risque of inventory, but that is an example of some retailer that has a very high specialty. When you look at these bigger stores such as SD Bullion, JM Bullion, Abmex, they have a very wide selection and a lot of money behind those operations, but they as well do not have any major specialty. They are a jack of all trades, one could say. When you're a jack of all trades, you operate on that melt value a little bit more. for me, I'm willing to pay up a premium for the things that I purchase because I primarily specialize in premium vintage that's already costing you at least 40, 50 bucks an ounce. So for me, that's the norm. That's just what I like to stack. That's just what I like to have on hand. There are many stores where you can get those generics. I just tend to be one of the stores that has a little bit more collectible stuff, and not all collectible stuff. I'm again not a jack of all trades when it comes to collectible vintage. I have a very small subset of refiners that I like to specialize in: Engelhard, Johnson Matthey, USVI Ingot Company, Sunshine Mining, Bunker Hill, Draper Mint / Swiss of America. These are just like the main things I like to specialize in. I can count them on one hand, you know what I mean? And so that niche is kind of what sets SBS apart from other stores, and what sets this individual who I purchased from apart from other sellers. Why do I like dealing with him and not others? Because he really understands my needs, and he'll go out many different coin shops that are offering these things. Maybe not at Melt. Might go to shops that have a little bit nicer stuff. Maybe go to a place where they actually know what they have. They might be, a lot of these local coin shops now are hip. They'll check the comps on eBay. They'll kind of get an understanding of what they're going for, and based off of that, they might charge an extra premium. So this individual makes it work for the LCSs, makes it work for him, and then ultimately makes it work for me. Because usually the pricing that he gives me on most of these items, it's not that I can't resist, it's that it's either a yes or no, black and white answer. And if it's too high for me, he just has his own way of slowly getting rid of the beautiful items that he's purchasing. A lot of times I get first dibs though, and so that is really nice, because I am regularly selling things such as these 1 ounce Rolo rounds, and it's really great to be able to restock them. So thank you so much for this. Now, for those who don't know, on the Rolo rounds, there's a couple different variations here. You got your Golden West Teton Rolo, and then you've got your Swiss of America Rolo. And so that Golden West Teton variation is going to be 4 times rarer than the Swiss of America variation. Swiss of America obverse variation is actually going to be 100,000 mintage, according to AllEngelhard. And we'll talk about the AllEngelhard mintages a little bit here, because when it comes down to refiners other than Engelhard and Johnson Matthey, you really need to take those mintages with a grain of salt, especially when you're dealing with something that is not serialized. So we take a look at this round right here, if we can get the camera unblurred, and what ends up happening is the camera is still blurred. But eventually we unblur it, and we see that this is Swiss of America on this side, which will be consistent with all variations of this 1 ounce Rolo. But we flip it over and we see that, wow, this is a Swiss of America variation. So this right here is going to be 100,000 mintage according to AllEngelhard.com. And the reason I'm saying take that with a grain of salt is because there's no serial number on here. I don't believe there's any records that are showing that's 100K mintage, so that's like an estimate. And who knows, there could be more of them out there, there could be less of them out there. These are something you'll see pretty often, but you'll always see them selling at a pretty hefty premium. So there's not really saying how many are out there, but I would be willing to guess that, hey, let's stick with that 100K mintage and just stick with that loosely. Okay? Because when it comes to, again, non-AllEngelhard and non-JM stuff, even the Engelhard stuff cannot fully be trusted. And when I say trusted, it's not that I'm saying, hey, it's something shady going on there. It's that those are estimates. Those are based off of what the community has submitted to that site, and so they're doing their best. Some of that information might be outdated. Some of that stuff may have not been taking into account new examples that have shown up or popped up. And so sometimes, especially when you're dealing with serialized pieces, I feel a little bit more comfortable with mintages, or at least using that as a starting point and then kind of determining where I can go from there, because you can at least extrapolate kind of sort of mintage estimates based off of serial ranges and kind of get some sort of an idea of maybe possibly how many there were there to start with. But with the unserialized pieces, it's harder to do that. So for here, for all intents and purposes, we'll say this is your 100K mintage Swiss of America round, but again, take that mintage number with a grain of salt. All I can tell you, when it comes to price action, it's very difficult to find Swiss of America pieces, any sort of Draper Mint pieces. Swiss of America is actually not the refiner. The refiner is Draper Mint. So Draper Mint produced these Swiss of America rounds. And so it's hard to find any Swiss of America Draper Mint pieces for under 50 bucks, honestly. If you can find them for under 40 bucks, that's a steal. I did not buy these for under 40 bucks. I paid over 40 bucks for all of these. So here we got a nice big stack of these Swiss of America Rolos, but I did also pick up the other variation here as well. So the other variation is going to be a Golden Teton West, and that right here looks like this. And this one, like I said before, is 4 times rare at an estimated 25,000 mintage here. And so this also has a beautiful mountain scene on the front, which of course my camera does not want to unblur. So once we get that unblurred, it's taking its sweet time. We flip it over, we see, wow, intricate details in this nice little valley and the mountains in the back. So this right here, 25K mintage. And this is such a unique style of round because it's such a little chunker. Reminds me of those USVI ingot company chunky stackable bars, but of course this is a round. So these are going to be your 2 styles of 1-ounce Rolos. And hey, what kind of a place can you go to, truthfully, and just pick up a whole big stack of these Rolos? You know, typically you'll find these available maybe on eBay here and there for like 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks a piece, whatever people are asking. And it's very difficult to be able to get a nice hoard of them. Beautiful collection of 25K minted and 100K minted Swiss of America 1-ounce Rolos. Now, what else do we got here? We got another thing to unpack, and this is going to be something interesting as well, and this is going to be another reason why that whole mintage thing that we're talking about, we really need to take that discussion seriously for this unboxing, because I had some decisions to make when purchasing these. These I picked up at a pretty high price per ounce, okay? And I actually had this 1 tube available of these rounds. It's a pretty rare round, actually, especially according to AllEngelhard, a very rare round. Mintage in the hundreds. Yet I was able to pick up a tube. And I was able to pick up a tube for under 100 an ounce. Of a 500 mintage round, that's crazy. And how am I able to pick up a tube when there's only 500 of them out there? And also, I've seen several of these pop up available for sale in the past, in the recent past. And so I paid up for these because I know what these things go for. I know what the market value is for these things. And I was thinking to myself, this has to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to purchase these. So I said, let me go ahead and purchase these. I'm able to get them at a price that's cheaper than I've been able to buy them in the past. Significantly, not significantly cheaper, but considerably cheaper. And so I thought to myself, let me just take these. Somebody else is going to definitely take these if I don't take these. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to buy these. I will buy them. And so I did buy them, and I am happy I bought them. Fast forward maybe a week or so later, and all of a sudden I'm now able to purchase another 3 tubes of these. I said, you know what? Let me hold off on that purchase because I don't know much about these. I need to do a little bit of research still on this, and so allow me to do a little bit of research there. So I did that research, which wasn't much of research. I just kind of made a decision that, you know what, I think I'm going to pass on these. I don't want to purchase more of these rounds, and this is not the round we're talking about. This is a different round, by the way. The round that I'm talking about is underneath these. These I'm very glad I bought for the price I purchased them. The rounds that are underneath these, I had an opportunity to purchase another 3 tubes, and that too, they were asking slightly higher price, and I was saying, definitely not going to pay more to purchase in bulk another few tubes of these super rare rounds. I said, definitely not up for that. You know, that's what I told my supplier. I said, you know, if I was going to buy these, I really, you know, would need to get them for a little bit cheaper. And I'm not even sure if I'd buy them at all, truthfully, because I don't really know if I've got buyers for these particular rounds. And so I passed on them. I passed on these 3 tubes. I come back later, two of the tubes are gone. There's still 1 available. All right, I'm able to get these now $5 cheaper than I bought this tube for. I'm like, okay, interesting. Still probably going to pass. I don't think that $5 off is enough to justify it until I get some guaranteed people who are actually interested in these things, because I'm personally not sure if I'm interested in these things yet. So I passed on that extra tube as well. We're going to go ahead and see what this tube is, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about why I passed on that particular item, okay? But first, let's go ahead and look at this item. Now, this item is very cool because I was able to, I think, purchase 2 of them, and yes, I was. So I was able to purchase 2 of these, and these are what are called Beaver Castor rounds. These are part of a multi-sized set. They came in big sets of multiple rounds, including fractional rounds, and I believe over than 1 ounce rounds, and they're all serialized as well. So it's a very, very cool set of rounds here, and I happen to get 2 of them. So I like to collect anything by Engelhard or Johnson Matthey, and especially when it comes to the rarer specimens, I'm very interested in collecting stuff by them. So let's take a look here. We've got a nice beaver here on the front, and each of these rounds are serialized. Unfortunately, they're not sequential serials, but it's very, very close. So I'm very excited to have close serials on these. And look at this beautiful specimen on the back. So Canada 1979 dated, and I think it's a beautiful round. So I'm happy to grab both of these and add them to the stack. And let's go ahead and see what we got in this tube. Now this tube, estimated 500 mintage on these according to AllEngelhard, and I would take that mintage with a grain of salt again, because I was able to get these at under $100 an ounce, which truthfully is a great deal for something that's 500 mintage. And so that leads me to believe that, and because I'm able to get a tube of them here, I'm not always able to get a tube of these, but if I'm able to get a tube of them, that leads me to believe that maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm lucky and I have a tube out of the 500 of these that exist. But the fact that I see a few on eBay as well, you know, it leads me to believe that, you know, maybe there might be more than 500 of these out there. Yet, this right here does not say anything about it being a Hoffman & Hoffman, but on AllEngelhard, this is identified as a Hoffman & Hoffman Eagle trade unit. And you also see these trade units much rarer, much more seldom seen, a unicorn, and the unicorn is going to be a common Hoffman & Hoffman round, probably the most common round. And again, that's a 2,000 mintage estimate if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they changed that to 10,000 now, I'm not sure. But I see the unicorn normal Hoffman & Hoffman 1981 dated rounds pop up quite a bit. I think the mintage might be higher on those as well. So you got a unicorn that has a reverse like this, not a 1981, but a trade unit reverse. That is very, very seldom seen. And I think, you know, the mintage estimate on that is similar to what it is for the Eagle trade unit, and I don't think that's true. I feel that there's definitely fewer unicorn trade units out there. The unicorn trade units sell for a hefty premium. I'm talking like 300 plus an ounce, whereas you can get these Eagle trade units, at least right now, for probably under $100. So do I trust the mintage estimates on Hoffman & Hoffman? No, I use them as a starting point. And I use the mintage estimates on AllEngelhard as a starting point in all cases, and then I rely also on my assessment of the market, what I'm witnessing happening on the market. For example, you look at a gold standard 1 ounce silver bar. There's 2 variations on those Engelhards, right? There's a 2,000 mintage and there's a 5,000 mintage. Well, I see those gold standard bars pop up quite a bit, especially the 2,000 mintage mirror backs. I find them in the original seal sometimes popping up, and they're always a pretty reasonable price. Under $200 you can pick one of those up. You'll have to pay up more than 100 an ounce, but you can get them for under 200 an ounce, and that's pretty damn good for a 2 or 5,000 mintage bar. The funny thing is that the 5,000 mintage bars, which you should be seeing, you know, 2.5 times more often, I almost never see the frosted back 5K mintage gold standard Engelhard bars, but I see quite a few of the mirror back gold standard Engelhard bars, which are 2K mintage. And then there are 3K mintage Engelhard bars that I almost never see available, and that will always sell for $200-300 an ounce. So really, when it comes down to it, especially when it comes down to unserialized pieces, you got to take the mintages with a grain of salt. When I've got some serialized piece such as this, you know, we can go check what the mintage estimate is on this, but I'm willing to bet that the mintage estimate is at least 10,000. If we got a serial number here of 9,440 and another one here 9,448, well, it's possible that they started the serial number ranges at 9,000, but I doubt it, you know. It could be a 1,000 mintage round and they only have 9,000 to 10,000 serialized pieces, but I'm willing to bet that the mintage estimate on this is more than 10,000. So let's go ahead and just look at that real quick. And I'll go to AllEngelhard, I'll go to the definitive pages, I'll go to Johnson Matthey, and unfortunately, they don't have any section for the rounds. So I can't even check this on AllEngelhard. So my best estimate is, hey, these are maybe 10,000 mintage, maybe more. You know, maybe we come across one of these exact same rounds from 1979 that has a serial number of 21,890. Then we might be like, oh crap, maybe these are 25,000 mintage. So you got to use your assessment of the market, maybe look at other examples of these that have sold, and that's exactly what AllEngelhard does and has been doing for decades. And a lot of times, you know, they're not doing it for profit, so a lot of times it doesn't get updated in quite a while. So because of that, you really need to use that as a starting point. And whenever you can, if you have some actual pertinent information, don't inundate them with information. But if you have something truly one of a kind, noteworthy, or something actually worth noting, definitely reach out to them so that they can hopefully update that. It might take them a long time to update that. They may not even respond to you because they're probably getting so many other like-minded collectors reaching out about everything under the sun, and so it might take them a long time to respond. They may already know what it is that you tell them about, and so they may not respond, and they may already know about that. May not be deemed like important enough. But all I gotta say is it's a great tool to use and a great way to start your vintage stacking journey. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this unboxing and hope you learned something. Cheers. Oh, and if you haven't had a chance to yet, be sure to check out our social media landing page at solo.to/silverbarstacker. There you can find our direct website link, which is silverbarstacker.com, as well as our links to our other social media channels, such as this very YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our TikTok page, our Twitter page, and we also have the link to our Whatnot page, which is where we actually run our live auctions and actually also have all of these same SBS drops that we hold. We run those same drops on our Whatnot store, and we also have live auctions happening literally all the time. So the way that you can be notified about those auctions is to be following us there on whatnot.com/user/silverbarstacker. And we hope to see you there, folks. Thank you, and have a great day.